the 5 fastest ways to build and simultaneously test your willpower to determine how mentally tough, strong, disciplined, focused you are. And willpower, I feel, more than anything, is a forgotten skill. It is something that in today's society is overlooked, is neglected, is not even valued that high. The ability to push through, to do the work no matter how you feel, to overcome the feelings and the thoughts and the emotions in your head, and that little voice that whispers all the things that tell you to give up, to quit, to call it in. The better you are at overriding those feelings, at overwriting those voices, the better you'll be. The greater success you'll have. The more fulfilled and enjoyable your life will be, because you don't give in to the easy things. You don't give in to things that do not serve you. You are doing the work that is required no matter what. And willpower is definitively required for this. And yet everything, and I do mean pretty much everything in our society today, is built around the fact that you don't need to use willpower. You don't need to enact it. You can have everything at the snap of the fingers. It's just there at your fingertips, ready to rock, without effort, without thought process, without anything. And most of it's built around that way. Like, you think about Uber Eats, you think about Amazon, you think about social media, you think about streaming services, you think about all these things, literally designed to make it as easy as possible. Even down to, if we're going to build, sales pages to try and sell a product, landing pages, advertisement for those kinds of things. There is a whole part of marketing built around reducing the friction to get the sale, reducing the difficulty and the steps to get someone to commit and purchase. Because the more steps it is, the harder it is, the less likely people will follow through. They're more likely to abandon the cart. So there's whole systems built around this thing to make it as simple as possible, because people's attention spans and things are so limited these days. Even down to how many touches it takes to get someone to make a commitment. So it used to be, if you ran an ad, you needed between 3 and 5 touches, as in the person to see the ad 3 to 5 times before they were likely to make a decision and purchase. Now it's jumped to 30, and I was reading one yesterday that they reckon it's over 101 touches before someone will be convinced enough to make a decision. And that's twofold. One is because we're bombarded consistently and overwhelmingly with constant options and information and this quick, constant turnover of things, and two, it's about the willpower to go through. And there's also the flip side of this, that companies will utilize the fact that most people lack willpower to make quick purchase. The whole thing around impulse buying, that they appeal to this need now for impulse buying. So before you can think about it, before you can make a conscious decision and go, do I really need another protein powder? Do I really need, whatever the fuck people buy? I don't know. I'm out of touch with that. I buy fitness equipment. That's my guilty pleasure. But whatever it might be, whatever that impulse purchase is through Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever the fuck you're buying on, they use that you don't have the willpower to go, I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to wait and decide if I truly actually need that product before I purchase it. But willpower is fundamentally the required skill to be successful. Because willpower is what allows you to be consistent. Willpower is what allows you to override the choosing the easy way out, making the simple easy choice in the moment. It's what you need to choose future you over instant gratification you. And I use the term skill deliberately because there is this notion that we are just born with willpower, and some people just have it and others don't. That is categorically incorrect. It is a muscle in your head, in your brain, and people who utilize it, who do things that make them uncomfortable, who challenge themselves and push themselves, this muscle is bigger in their brain. And if you want to go down the line of health and benefits like things, people who utilize it regularly are less likely to develop Alzheimer's and dementia and cognitive impairment and things like that as they age. So it is something that you really do want to do your best to develop. You want to focus on building it up because it is a truly important skill to have. But you aren't born with it. You must make a decision regularly, daily, around building that muscle. It's like going to the gym. It's like any other muscle. It must be worked, it must be challenged, it must be pushed regularly and consistently so that you can continue to develop it. And as you get better at doing those things, as you improve this skill, you will overall get better at all the subsequent things. Things will get easier. It's like that, like we've discussed before. It's not that actually they don't get easier. What happens is you get stronger and you get more resilient and you develop the ability to overcome that. Things don't get easier, you just get better. And that's what we're focusing on, and that's what we're driving towards, and that's what we are trying to achieve with this. So part of Chasing Greatness Daily, part of all of the greatness world that I'm developing is, at its fundamental level, it is building your willpower to be the best version of yourself. To be the greatest version you can be, you must develop willpower. Now, within that, I have 5 things. They're not in all of the Chasing Greatness, they come in phases, but there are 5 things that you can do, A, to test your willpower, to determine where it's at, and B, to improve it and build it and strengthen it. And look, just fundamentally, that's the core definition of what we're working on with Chasing Greatness Daily. We're building discipline, we're building mental fortitude, we're building grit. We're building these things that is going to allow you to excel in life. Yes, on the surface level, you can look at Chasing Greatness Daily as a fitness program. And don't get me wrong, that is a huge fundamental component of it. And we've spoken many times about that fitness is the gateway drug to your greatest life. And that is my background. I have been a personal trainer since 2009. I have been doing this for well over a decade, 15 years. I have owned my own personal training studio going on 12 years, like all the kind of stuff. That is what I have built the majority of my life on. But that's the gateway to becoming the greatest version of yourself. That is where you find your greatness. So yeah, you're going to get a lot of that. Yeah, I'm going to dial in the specifics on that. But on the back end, what you are gaining from it is so much more than just being in better shape. But so the 5 things that will fundamentally test your willpower and build it to the highest level you can get to are sauna, ice bath, fasting, weighted workouts, weighted walk. In these 5 things, even if you just pick one, you can very quickly test how mentally strong you are, how disciplined you are, how much capacity you have to override the voices in your head. And then by repeating said exercise, you can then build it up over time. So we'll start at the beginning. Sauna is definitely up there. Now, the sauna has a magnitude of incredible health benefits. It has recovery, it's great for your heart, it reduces the chance of stroke and heart disease and all these kinds of things. It creates I always get this word wrong because of self-taught, homeocratic stress. is one of those things that makes you just better to handle life. And again, that comes back to discipline and willpower. It's one of the things we are chasing. All of these things create that stress on the body, which is good, which allows you to be a stronger, fitter, healthier, more disciplined version of yourself, because your body gets used to handling that stress and overcoming it. But sauna is an excellent way to do it, because in the majority of cases, especially in a highly distracted world, there's nothing but you and you. There is nothing but you and your fucking thoughts, and having debates and arguments with yourself about how long you're going to sit there. And that right there is the magic. That it's just you and your thoughts, and you become real fucking acquainted really quickly with who you are and how you feel about things and what your standard is around those things. You become very quickly associated with the little bitch voice in your head. And it doesn't matter how frequently you do it. It doesn't matter how good you get at it. I can guarantee if you can crank that bitch up high enough and you can get into that situation, you are going to get, the bitch voice is going to come out, and you are going to know all about it. All about it. Like, I do regular sauna. It's actually one of my favorite things. I've always liked heat training and all that kind of stuff. I thrive in heat. Even down to with my weighted walks. I wear a sweat belt, thermals, trackies, hoodie, the whole 9 yards. I am out there and I am sweating bullets, no matter the temperature. It doesn't matter if it's 40 degrees or if it's -5. I am out there in the same outfit every single day. I love that shit. And yet, there are still days where I'm like, fuck, I cannot take on any more of this. I cannot handle any more of this right here, right now. Like, it's pushing me to my absolute limits right now. And that's the point. And some days are better than others. And to be honest, I'm not even sure why. There's probably things around sleep and food and how much stress I've placed on it, because as we know, willpower is a muscle which fatigues. It's why when we are more likely to binge is when we are tired or late at night, also because we're tired. It is a finite resource that gets replenished overnight. So if you're pushing things at the end of the day, you're more likely to give out. On the flip side, same as training any muscle, if it's already pre-fatigued and then you're pushing further, you can get more bang for your buck, because you're already in that situation much faster. So then you work out that, well, maybe I can push a little bit further on this. But as I said, it's a really great way to start testing the voices in your head, to see who's stronger, the bitch voice or the boss voice. Are you in control, or is resistance and, you know, that bitch voice who wants you to quit in control? Your feelings, your emotions. Who's actually in control of the choices you make? And so sauna is a great option. Look, it can be slightly cost prohibitive. I do understand that. Going to a proper dry finished sauna it adds up quite a lot. You can get other alternatives like infrared or a steam room one. I have one at home, like, you know, it's a little pop-up tent kind of thing. That's what I use most of the time. So there are ways on cheaper options to get that. But I understand that not everybody has that capacity. The next one is an ice bath. Same thing. Nothing will ramp up that bitch voice instantly, like getting into an ice bath. Now, I strongly recommend, no matter what situation you have, what setup you have, that you should get cold exposure every single day. In fact, it's built into phase 2 of 126 to greatness. That is one of the components that you must tick off every single day. And even if it's just starting with a cold shower, you need to get that. It, again, hemiocratic stress, it builds up brown fat, which raises your metabolism. It's great for the vagus nerve, all this kind of stuff. It's a really great option to build into a regular routine. And a lot of people are like, well, I don't have access to those kinds of things. You can achieve it on a much simpler level. If If you have a bathtub and you have a freezer, you can make your own ice bath. Just literally fill plastic containers with water, chuck them in the freezer, and lo and behold, the next day you have these giant chunks of ice. Chuck them in the bath, let it simmer down for a little bit, jump in, get your ass into that freezing cold water, and Bob's your uncle. Here we are, ice bath. Now, when you first start off, just get what you can get. The ideal one you want to build to is 3 minutes. And if you can set it up, start your day with that. Start your day with an ice bath. Start the day off on the right foot. It will skyrocket dopamine and endorphins and serotonin, and you'll feel amazing. It'll raise your internal body temperature, so you'll run hotter because your body has to heat itself. It has to, raise the internal body temperature again. But it'll do all these amazing things for you. And even if you just did it once a week, that's building it up. It's testing that willpower. But you have to force yourself to sit in it. You have to push through that. As I said, that bitch voice is going to come out real fast, especially if you are not adapt to the cold, if you are not used to doing those kinds of things. It'll be like, what the actual fuck are you doing here? And you need to push through that. You need to fight that down. Breathe through it. I might actually do another video on other techniques you can to push forward on this front, because there are so many great things that you can do with this. But you want to be able to push through. You want to be able to override that voice in your head, to focus in, be in control. And especially because those extremes are harder. So on the sauna, you're looking at probably wanting to reach 20 minutes. You want to do that 3 times a week at least. In the ice bath, as I said, you want to get to 3 minutes. But because that's so extreme, it's such a shorter period, the voices are way louder. The feelings and emotions that you want to get the fuck out of that thing is so much greater. So you must sit with it. You must center yourself. You must be aware and get fucking dialed in on that. So you make those choices, and you need to breathe. You need to be able to control. And that's where you build that willpower. That's where you build that skill. That's where you develop huge amounts of willpower, resilience, grit, determination, because everything's going to be in your body. It doesn't matter how many times you do it. Is A, don't fucking get in that thing. That's freezing. That sounds awful, especially if you're doing it first thing in the morning. You jumped out of a warm, cozy bed, you're having a lovely snuggle in, and then all of a sudden, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go jump into some freezing fucking cold water. That sounds like a wonderful idea. Your body's going to be like, no thank you. But that's what you need to do. That's what you need to progress forward in. You need to do that kind of stuff. And it's going to test you, which is the point. That's the whole fucking point. And each day you want to see if you can get a little bit further and a little bit further and a little bit further. You want to build to those 3 minutes and be able to conquer that and overcome it. And again, there are going to be plenty of days where your mind is going to be like, no thank you, and you have to ride it out. And it's not going to be consistent. It's not going to be a linear path on this. But you can get better on this. You can do this. You can develop that willpower for your greatest good. You just have to start making a decision. You have to sit into that and be like, deep breaths, in through the nose, out through the mouth. If you really want to push it forward and test your willpower and build it up, do a double inhale, which kicks you out of the fight or flight. And then you're fighting against that as you're in that moment. Your body is screaming that, hey, we're not okay. We need to get the fuck out of this. And you're like, fuck that. I'm cool, calm, and collected. You are really building up that willpower to an unprecedented level. And that is so important. It's just so fucking important. As I said, this is a skill that passes on to everything, into every area. So you want that more than you could possibly imagine. Do you want to work on that? And the barrier to entry in this is actually relatively low. And look, maybe you don't have a bathtub. Maybe you can't freeze giant blocks of ice to put into your bathtub. You can get a ice dispenser, like a little ice cube tray, Use that, freeze them every day, get a big bowl, fill it with cold water, chuck the ice cubes in, dunk your face in. There are ways to get around this. There are ways to do it if you're willing to work on yourself. And this is what we keep coming back to. What are you willing to do? What are you willing to sacrifice? What things are you willing to push forward on to become the best version of yourself? Because this is what's fucking required. This is what is required for you to become the best version of yourself. You cannot continue down the path of being the same person that you've always been. You must make different decisions. You must make better decisions. It's gonna require effort. It's gonna require focus. So you must make those decisions. That's what this is about. Now, I did mention 5, and I've given you 2 so far, but I don't want to shortchange you on this. I don't want to not give you the full depth and understanding. So I'm gonna finish up here, and I'm going to go in the next episode, I'm going to go into the other 3, because I want to give you the full detail on this, because I mean it when I say, if you start testing your willpower on a regular basis, on a daily basis, how much your life will change, how much of a difference this can make. Just start building this up and you'll find that it overflows into every area. I cannot emphasize this enough, how much of your life is dictated by this simple act, this willpower, the ability to overcome, to delay gratification. If you can build this muscle and you can get stronger in this and you can build grit, mental fortitude, discipline, whatever the fuck you want to call it, your whole life will change for the better. You have that capacity. You just have to start making the choices towards it. So if you are ready to build that muscle, to take that first step, to dive full force into this and to see who you can become by building your mental toughness, by building your discipline, by building your willpower, your grit, your determination, all of it, shoot me a message. Let's get you into chasing greatness daily. Let's start with 6 weeks of discipline and see who you can become on the other side. Now, as always, if you're not quite there yet, please click the link in my bio, grab my top 10 tools to transform your mental toughness. And lastly, if this spoke to you, if you enjoyed it, if there was something inspiring of it, or it was just informative, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. But most importantly, please subscribe. As I said, part 2 is coming tomorrow. You do not want to miss this. It's going to continue to help you grow and become the greatest version of yourself. So hit that subscribe button so that you never miss an episode. And I'll be back again tomorrow. Until then.